The applicant, the architect, will come into the meetings, and they've already been briefed fully by myself. I send them out the checklist within the design guidance so that they know the areas that they need to cover. And the applicant presents their scheme for 20 minutes, and we do ask them not to rely on PowerPoint presentations to bring in their models to talk through the plans and be really engaging with the residents. So they present for about 20 minutes. The residents then have the opportunity to ask questions for a further 15 to 20 minutes. And then the architects or the developers are asked to leave the room, and the conversation continues for another further about 15 to 20 minutes. And then it's the role of the chair to sum up the discussion and really to draw out the positives as well as the negatives, because we're not just there to critique the projects, we're also there to look at the good aspects and recognise those as well. I then am present at the meetings and write a report, and that report is then fed back to all of the members and the chair for official sign-off, and then is sent back to the applicant. And we've had 2 meetings so far. In the first meeting, actually, the report formed and went into the committee report, which went to members, so that was fantastic. So there is change happening, and things are working, so it's great. I'll just give you an idea of the project timeline. We started with the member selection in September of last year. I also held a welcome meeting for residents. I think it's really important. You've got different ages, different groups, different backgrounds. We wanted everyone to be comfortable with one another and know who each other were. So we held that meeting first off and explained the project to them. They only get £5 travel expenditure fees at the moment covered. So it's really, motivation is a really key thing in keeping them involved in the project. So the welcome meeting was really important to set out the basis of the project. Then in October, we had our 3 training sessions. 2 of those took place in the evening and 1 on the Saturday, as I said before, on the site visit. And then in December, we had our first design forum meeting, which we looked at a community centre in Barking Riverside. So we sort of dropped them in it. It was a big project for the first project. It's a huge brownfield site. And it was 93 residential units, a place of worship, a school, and the landscaping work. But the residents were fantastic and really good at asking the architects all the correct questions. They actually picked up on an issue within the site, a conflict between pedestrian and cyclists, which was later picked on by Transport for London as well. So I just really enjoy working with the group. They do pick up on the key points because they're local people and they know the area and they know what will work and what won't work. Then in February this year, we've looked at a pre-app stage, Thamesview East, and again, residents pulled out some really key issues, looking at defensible space and the gardens, and they really felt that they might not work for the community, and like the Wilt task, like, would you want to live there? No, the residents said, we wouldn't want to live in that, the way the gardens had been configured, that wouldn't have worked for them, so that's something that the architects have now gone away and are working on and working up, so the views that they have really are being taken on board, and it's really important as a facilitator as well that I feed back to the residents, and I do that on a continual basis. This has happened, and where the projects are, so they really do feel empowered by the work that we're doing. So, concluding with some key learning points, residents do provide really invaluable knowledge and insights, and if they're given the right training and the right and time, they can be a really good think tank and resource to go to. Locally specific issues are highlighted early on in the design process, and I think that's really key. We're not going out and consulting on a planning application, it's pre-app discussions, so these ideas are being fed in at an early stage. And also, I've found it's been a really good tool for case officers when they've attended my workshop sessions. They've got a lot out from the project as well, and it's really raised the profile of urban design within the council, and they've learnt a lot from the work. And I would definitely encourage, if you're thinking of doing something similar, working really closely with your case officers. And again, motivation is key. They're giving up their free time. So I think in some instances we've been blessed with a really good group, but it is about building confidence and building the fact that they know that the changes that they're making, it isn't just paper value, these things are actually going to happen. That's some feedback that we got from one of the residents, and it was just off the cuff in an email, and that's the kind of feeling you get. They really do feel like that they're making a difference, which is great. So, future aims and ambitions for the project. So far, we've not actually had any site visits, which is something that I wanted to do from the outset, but with the different backgrounds and ages that we've got, it's actually quite hard to logistically get everyone together at a time when they're not at work or they're not picking up their kids. So we think we have found a time slot which would work for the residents. Obviously, it helps with the nights getting lighter as well. And the other thing I'd like to work in is looking at site visits also at other sites. So they're not just looking at things within their borough, that they get experiences of other places that work well maybe, and other places that don't work well. So that's a programme that I want to be doing for this year. I'll also be producing an annual report, so drawing together the reports that I do and looking at what the project has done over the year, and obviously feeding that back to the residents. And also providing continued development. I'd like to do some more training with them. I'd like to get a few more members as well, because we've got a pool of 7 residents at the moment, but I'd like to increase that so that it's a better resource, basically. And I would encourage you, if you were to do a similar project, I think we started by selecting 10 residents, and I think in hindsight it would be better to select, say, 20, and then have that resource to tap into at a later date. And finally, and I think most importantly, communicating the work of the forum, because it's all well and good having these residents who are fantastic and brilliant at reading plans and giving us great ideas. We're learning a lot from them, and we hope they are learning a lot from us, but it's the wider community and making sure that they're aware of the work that we're doing. So I think after PERDA, the next thing that we'll be doing is communicating that work through local newspapers and websites and bringing in the new members from a wider pool than the citizens panel that we started off with. So in conclusion, I think the forum is in essence a think tank of residents, and they're well versed in urban design and able to confidently ask questions of architects on important schemes in the borough. And we've learned a lot about the process as the borough, and we hope that the residents are learning a lot too. And it is early days in the project, but I would definitely recommend it as a model of community consultation that really, really does work. Thank you.